Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. Today I have a short video for you showing you how to release a job from an iPrint WalkUp print queue using a pin code. First, let me show you regular printing, just so that you can get a sense for what my setup is. If we take a look at the iPrint printer list, you can see all the different printers that I have installed. I'm specifically going to print to the printer called HR. Let's go over to the Microfocus homepage and I'll just simply print this print job to iPrint. On the back end, I have a virtual printer configured, which is actually converting all of my print jobs to a PDF. And once that print job is submitted by iPrint, that print job will show up on this file system, this drive map that I have here, and I'll see the PDF appear. And a quick scan through this PDF shows me that it is indeed the Microfocus iPrint homepage that has been printed. Okay, so now that you have a sense for what happens when I print a print job to the HR printer and that it is in fact converted to a PDF and appears there for me, let's take a look at how WalkUp Printing works. So with WalkUp Printing, instead of printing to a regular printer, you print to a special kind of printer called a WalkUp printer. This WalkUp printer doesn't physically exist, it's a virtual printer, and what happens is iPrint holds that print job for you until you're ready to release it. This is useful for security reasons. You might not want to have your print job sitting on the printer for other people to see as they walk by, or maybe you want to save paper. Some people sometimes forget to pick up their print jobs, so this is a good way to hold that print job and delete it if nobody actually decides that it's worth releasing and pick it up from the printer. The way that you release a print job is through a web portal, the iPrint mobile app, or with the iPrint version 3 appliance, you can also use a third-party external device to release that printer, which is what we're going to be taking a look at here. Via whatever means you release that print job, only at that time will it actually come out on the printer for you to pick up. So let's quickly take a look at how you would set up a WalkUp printer. We're going to log into the administration console and start the iPrint configuration. The second tab down is where you configure your WalkUp printers. Here you can see I have an HR hold WalkUp printer, and if I look at the details, the only printer that is actually assigned to it is the HR printer. This means that any jobs submitted to the HR hold virtual printer will be held until released to the HR printer. You'll see that there is an option to actually add more printers to this virtual printer. This means that I could in fact add a number of printers and release the job to any one of those throughout my enterprise. No matter where I am, I can release that print job to the closest printer. That's simply another feature of WalkUp Printing, but we're not going to get into any more detail on that at this point in time. Let's do our print test from the iPrint homepage again, and this time we'll select the HR hold printer instead of the regular HR printer. Once I submit the job, you'll see that after a few seconds, I'll get a message saying that the job has been submitted to the HR hold printer and is in fact on hold by iPrint. So as we discussed earlier, the next step will be to log into the print release portal and release that job. So if I log in as my user Amanda Cox, you'll see that there is a job waiting for me and I can select the printer that I want to release it to. And again, in this case, there is only one printer, the HR printer. After submitting the job, in a few seconds, you'll see that the print job does appear on our file system, again, our virtual printer, the same way it did before. And again, a quick look indicates that this is, again, our Microfocus iPrint homepage. So now that you know how WalkUp Printing works, let's take a look at how you can release that print job using a pin code. Instead of the web portal, we're going to use a device from a partner of ours, ATC, and use that to enter the pin code. Here we can see the workflow that we're going to follow. We're going to print the print job. iPrint will hold it for us. And then the user will have to enter a PIN code on the device to release the print job. The device itself will send request back to iPrint saying release the print job, and this is the printer to release it to. Let's take a look at an alternate configuration that we can have. In the previous example, we required 2 cable drops beside each printer, one for the printer itself and one for the ATC iPrint reader. In this configuration, we only need 1 network drop. So the communications happen from the iPrint server to the ATC device, and then the printer is connected to the back of the ATC device. Otherwise, the configuration works exactly the same. It's just that the number of drops is reduced. To fully understand what is happening and to understand the configuration that we're going through, let me show you a few things with regards to the setup. If we take a look at this particular printer, the HR printer, what we'll see is that the IP address for this printer is 172.17.2.81. We'll use this number later on when we go to configure the ATC device. The next little bit of setup is the pin code itself. Here we are with a LDAP client, and I'm looking at Active Directory, our user specifically Amanda Cox. And I am using the attribute of employee number, and you can see that the value of that attribute is 12345. This is what I will use as a pin code later on in the iPrint configuration. Switching over to the appliance configuration under Directory Services, if I expand this, you'll see that there are some new attributes or some new fields that I can enter, and specifically enter the attribute that I will use for my job release using WalkUp Printing. This is where I will enter the employee number attribute that I want iPrint to query and do a match on for my pin code in this case. And I've got one more piece of configuration to show you before we can go ahead to the actual demo. Here we have the console for the ATC iPrint reader. I have a prototype of one of their devices, and if I log into the administration console under iPrint settings, I will need to enter the IP address for the printer that this particular device is servicing. So I enter the IP address for my printer, in this case .81 if you recall. I also have the IP address for the iPrint server, so it knows where to communicate and check for the appropriate credentials and everything else. And with that, I am ready to print. So this time my setup is a little bit more complicated. As I'm using an external device, I can't just simply do a screen capture because I won't be able to show you that. But with a camera setup, hopefully this will make the point clear. I'm going to do the same steps I did before. So I'm going to go to my web page, print the web page, and you'll see that the job gets held in the print queue. Then when I bring out my device, it's tethered via network cables back to my network. I will enter the passcode 12345 and it will release the print job. You'll see a few seconds later that the print job does come out and is in fact the web page that I had originally printed. Although it went by fairly quickly, there is in fact a green light as well as an audible beep indicating that the print job was released successfully. And there you have a print job being released via a passcode or a pin code. Here we have a close-up view of the device itself that I was using. On the left-hand side is a numeric keypad, which you can use to enter your pin code. And then on the right-hand side is a MyFair compatible card reader. For more information about this device, feel free to contact Dr. Hung, and there is his email address. Again, this is a device that is coming out soon, supporting iPrint, using both pin code or passcode job release as well as card release. Thank you very much for your interest in iPrint. Watch this channel for more information and videos on iPrint coming soon.